Minnesota Twins swept in New York. They lose game 3 tonight, 8-5. We're breaking it all down. It's coming up next on the Locked On Twins POSTCAST.
You are Locked On Twins POSTCAST, part of Locked On Minnesota on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up? What's up? We're back in the lab, back at it. Another Minnesota Twins POSTCAST episode right here on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. You got myself, Luke Inman, at Luke_Spinman. That's the man, Sweet Lou Hennesey. He's on X, at Sweet Lou MN, Twins expert over at Zone Coverage MN. And Lou, before we jump into all the action from tonight, quick reminder. Tonight's episode brought to us by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match, $20 off your first purchase. Game Time, terms apply. Okay, man, at this point, Twins just really trying to avoid the sweep, right? Game 3 in New York versus a Yankee team that's won 5 in a row versus them and is already 25 games above 500. It's June 6th. Pablo Lopez on the mound for this one. Royce Lewis gets the night off. We'll talk about him here in a second. Top one, Twins on the board first. Carlos Correa solo shot. That makes it 1-0. Vasquez does the same in the third, ties it back up at 2 apiece. Bottom third, bottom 4 is when the Yankees really busted this thing wide open, though. 2 runs in the third, 2 more in the fourth. All of a sudden, just like that, it's 7-2. Lopez only makes it through 4 in this one. 4 hits, 7 earned, 6 walks, 4 Ks, 96 pitches. More on him a little bit later on as well. Twins chip away. They get 3 runs in the 5th. Correa, Kepler, Santana, all with RBIs. Then came the rain. Hour-plus rain delay in this one. That kind of held things up. They finally resume action. Top of the 6th. Twins down 8-5. And it stayed that way from there on out. They had their chances. Top 8, Correa, tying runner at the plate, 2 on. He grounds out to second base. They ended up with 11 runners left on base tonight, and they went 2 for 14 with runners in scoring position. So, not enough in the end. Twins lose 8-5. They lose their 6th in a row to the Bronx Bombers and officially get swept by them, not once, but twice this year. Good news is no more Yankees on the schedule from here on out. We'll talk Pablo here in a second, but first, as always, biggest takeaways, 8 topics from Game 3 in New York.
Just start spreading the blues, man. It's just they cannot get out of there fast enough. I'll tell you that much. It was a slog, and this game was a lot closer than the other two, even though it felt kind of out of reach early. But like you said, they fought back. Just some bad vibes. That's just all there is. Your ace goes out there, gets shelled. Interestingly enough about Pablo, I know you said we'll talk about him more later here. The properties of his pitches were actually looking pretty good. He was getting good bend on the slider and the sweeper, but he just could not command them to save his life. 6 walks. That's got to be a career high for him. It was tough to see for him, and it's something that he needs to figure out soon if he wants to turn this thing around.
Yeah, let's do a deep dive on that. 4 innings. Only 4 hits, which against this New York lineup, I think you'll take that every time. Like you said, the problem that got him into all this trouble, 6 walks, man. And against the New York Yankees lineup, they're going to make you pay. And they did. 7 earned runs on 95 pitches. So what does the report card say tonight? And big picture here, too. I know it's still early, and I'll be honest, I still got faith that this guy's going to turn it around, but this is a guy who did have Cy Young aspirations this year, and so far, it's been just a very inconsistent back and forth, up and down start to his season. So what's going on with Pablo, Lou?
I think it starts and ends with his sweeper. That was such a huge offering for him last year. Coming into the Twins organization, they were huge on wanting to adjust some things with his mechanics when it comes to the slider, giving it more of that sweeping action, kind of east to west action. And it was really successful last year, and it kind of took the league by storm, you could tell. Now the league has made their adjustments on him. I don't know if they're seeing it better out of his hand. I don't know if he's not commanding it as well as he did last year, but they got a beat on it. And it's not the trick up his sleeve anymore. And now it's time for him to make an adjustment to the rest of the league who have already jumped on him.
Yeah, well said. He drops to 5-6 on the year already. Last year, he ended with a 3.3 WAR rating. This year, he's got a 0.3 WAR rating so far. ERA sitting at close to 5 right now. And again, if this team is going to do anything in the second half of the season, they're going to need not just Pablo, but this entire pitching staff just to kick things up a notch or two and start to bring their A game more nights than not. All right. Anything else stick out to you, whether box score, stat line, tonight's game specifically, or this 3-game series, I guess, as a whole? Correa, 2 for 4, 2 ribbies and a homer. Vasquez, a homer. Still only hitting, though, a team worst, actually, 169. Farmer 0 for 3 again. He's hitting 173 now. Anything good or bad, I guess, for that matter, jump out to you tonight or the past 3 games?
Yeah, I guess it was just really unfortunate that we didn't get a chance to see Griffin Jax or Yohan Duran come into any of these games against the Yankees, not only this series, but their first one when they got swept as well. And, that's just kind of how it goes when you're losing. You're not in the position to have your A relievers out there for anything, but it's such a shame because they are such weapons and we didn't get to see them. The bullpen looks pretty good tonight. I was impressed with a couple of guys. Alcala has looked really solid since coming back up. He's pumping that heat. I think he hit almost 101 on the gun tonight. So, there's some encouraging parts. Caleb Theobar, really refreshing to see him have a clean inning because it's been a tough go for him to coming into this series. So the bullpen looked pretty solid tonight. I'll give that as a silver lining.
Well, let's take that and run with it here. Talk to me about this bullpen like I'm 5 for a minute or two, would you? Because I know they started out hot, kind of exceeded everyone's expectations with Duran and some guys out. Then last few weeks or so, I know there's been a lot of shuffling around, guys coming in, guys going out. What's like the top 5 big board power rankings if you had to choose like the best 5 guys back there? And in general, how's the bullpen been the last month or so compared to kind of the league average?
Yeah, we've seen some ups and downs from the bullpen, but for the most part, even with all the shuffling going on, that's partly by design. They really value guys who have options left, guys like Jorge Alcala, who maybe they go out there and they eat a few innings, they throw 75 pitches and they're unavailable. We're going to send them back to St. Paul, get a fresh arm up here. That's by design. But if we're talking about the power rankings here right now, we probably got to go Yohan Duran and Griffin Jax as your 2 high leverage options.
Top 2
right
in their own tier, kind of,
for
right?
Sure,
Top
for
2.
sure.
Yep.
Brock Stewart would be in there too. He's on the shelf right now. They did get some good updates on him that he's rehabbing. I think he's throwing from 90 feet now. So progressing with his throwing program. Hopefully he's back soon to be the 3-headed monster at the back end of the bullpen. After that, I want to say the best lefty in the bullpen right now is Steven Okert. He gets a little bit erratic, but that slider is something that is a real weapon. And with Caleb Theobar failing to really get on track here, Steven Okert has been pretty solid for them over the first couple months of the season. After that, Jorge Alcala's caught my eye. Same with Josh Staumont. He's been really solid, hasn't given up an earned run in his 10 innings of work so far. Some of his numbers under the hood maybe don't suggest that he's quite that good, but he's been a solid piece, solid middle inning reliever, which is, you can never have too many of those.
That's the perfect overview and kind of just catch up on this bullpen at this point that I think a lot of fans needed. Where does Jackson Duran kind of land among the top relievers in the league, would you say? Like Duran top 10, Jax top 20, or what? Am I close?
It kind of depends on the time frame that you're talking about. If you're talking about this season specifically, I would put Griffin Jax in the top 10. He's been an absolute buzzsaw for the Twins. Hopefully he can get some more opportunities to pitch in some wins here. Yohan Duran, I'm still a huge fan of his. I'm a huge believer in his, and I think he's going to be locked down, especially as his velocity keeps trending upward. It's been a little erratic so far, but if he can get back that heater back up to 102, 103, that's a real weapon, and then it just makes his curveball and his splinter that much better. So I'd put them both in top 10, top 15 in the league at their best for sure.
Feels good to have 2 top 15 guys back there. That's for sure. All right. Plenty more deep dive from this one, plus our nerdy stat of the day. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook and official sportsbook partner of the MLB. Right now, playoff time in the NBA and NHL, not to mention baseball, obviously in full swing. That means FanDuel's your #1 place to be to bet on all the action. Check this out right now. New customers, you're getting $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Celtics looks like they're going to cover the 6.5-point spread tonight. Still plenty of time to get in on Boston in game 2 on Sunday, though. Early line, Boston by 5.5. Over-under, sitting at 206.5. Plus, you can bet on everything at FanDuel. Slap shots, home runs, slam dunks, all on the app that's safe, secure, and easy to use. So, what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make your first bet a huge win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, an official sportsbook partner of the MLB. All right, just real quick, Royce with the night off tonight. So played 2, got the 3rd off, which you alluded to last night was a strong possibility. I know he just got back. They're going to be super careful with him. I get that. Is this kind of the new bar, kind of where the expectation should be with him as far as load management goes, like 2 on, 1 off kind of thing? And if so, I guess how long until they really let him loose, if you had to guess?
I don't think it's going to be a permanent thing throughout the entire season. I don't think Royce would let that happen necessarily, but I do think that it will be the norm for the next couple of weeks. He missed significant time there with a really severe strain, and that's a lot of sunk time that they invested in his recovery, and they don't just want to let it go just because he wants to be in every game. Of course he wants to be in every game. We want to see him in every game, but we especially want to see him in games in September and October, and that's going to be more important than playing 3 in a row at Yankee Stadium. It was, he was on deck to end the game there. It would have been really exciting if Santana could have found a way.
Yeah.
But for the time being, I understand him getting the full night off, and hopefully he can freshen up and start new in Pittsburgh tomorrow.
Yeah, well said. All right, Aaron Gleeman, the geek, just dropped his new mailbag up on The Athletic today. I was looking at it, perusing it, if you will. In it, he talked about the race to second base, Julian versus Brooks Lee. If you had to guess, try to forecast how this whole thing plays out, what does it all look like? Because we know Julian, still a big piece to kind of their long-term plans, but you can probably say the same and more for a guy like Brooks Lee, who's obviously one of their top 3 prospects.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to watch for sure. Both really high upside players that I think are firmly in the Twins' plans going forward. In terms of who has the edge right now, I guess you could say Julian, just because he's got a little bit more of a runway here. He didn't start the year off on the injured list, but Brooks Lee's the type of exciting prospect that if he gets off to a really hot start and the Twins need somebody at second base, what are we waiting for here? They had a lot of confidence that he would be ready early on. They gave him a ton of playing time in spring training with the big league club. He's meshed really well with some of the players that he's seen in AAA. He's played alongside Royce Lewis when he was on a rehab assignment last year. He's played with other guys that are firmly in the Twins' plans just at the minor league level. So anything can happen. We'll see.
All right, nerdy stat of the daytime. Give us that crazy stat or kind of fun analytic Twins related, of course. Lay it on us. What do you
Yeah, sure. So I had a friend text me today actually asking for some sports bets tips. Going into today, he was wondering how Carlos Correa was looking. And I said, absolutely bet on Carlos Correa tonight because his numbers against Marcus Stroman are fantastic. Coming into today's game, he had a .462 batting average with a .1038 OPS. And of course, what does he do? He hits a home run off of Mr. Stroman. I wish my friend would have made that bet. I would have asked for a cut, but here we are. At least I can have it for my nerdy stat of the day.
Yeah, you should have tweeted that one out. I would have tried to get on all the action up on FanDuel.com for sure. All right, don't go anywhere. We got to preview the next series, Twins versus Pittsburgh. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode also brought to us by Game Time, because you should never have to worry when buying tickets to any big event. That's why Game Time, it's the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets to any local event, concerts, comedy shows, sporting events, even Broadway theater. And with killer last-minute deals and their best price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. And with their all-in prices, Game Time shows you exactly how much you're spending with no hidden fees. It's time to take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app. See for yourself just how easy it is. Create an account. Use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Again, just create any new account. Redeem your code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Game Time. Terms apply. Okay, final series on this long gauntlet 9-game road trip starts tomorrow in Pittsburgh, taking on the Pirates. Pretend I know nothing about this team. What's the scouting report kind of look like, and what kind of matchup is this for the Minnesota Twins?
Yeah, this is a matchup where the Twins should eat, but the Pirates, I think they're hanging in there. They're a few games under 500. They don't look to be like necessarily a contender this year, but some of their young pieces are starting to emerge, and you can see that there is kind of a plan in place going forward. Sometimes you see a rebuilding club, and you're like, I don't know who any of these players are. Right. That's not the case with the Pirates. They've got a couple young studs in their infield, and Brian Hayes and O'Neill Cruz. Both of them are pretty solid, and I think are going to be kind of building blocks for them going forward. And then their rotation, like I've gushed about the last couple of nights, Paul Skeens, Jared Jones are both fantastic. Tomorrow, the Twins are facing Mitch Keller, who actually I considered to be a pretty good trade candidate for the Twins in the offseason. Somebody who was had a couple years of team control. Looks like they have some underlying numbers that would be really intriguing for someone like the Twins. He's going to stay in Pittsburgh for a while because he signed, I believe, a 4-year extension with them. But it'll be interesting to see him tomorrow.
Is Paul Skeens on the schedule for the Minnesota Twins? Again, as you mentioned, you've gushed about him, rightfully so. He's been ripping it up as a rookie already. Is he on the schedule for one of these next 3 games?
He is not scheduled to pitch. He pitched yesterday, so I believe they'll miss him by a day.
Well, maybe that's a good thing, though,
yeah.
with how good he's been pitching. I know usually we end with something that's just what's been going around the league, kind of an A topic. Seeming we're playing Pittsburgh tomorrow, though. We don't usually do this, but how about one National League storyline from this year that's really stuck out that maybe fans of the Twins specifically that don't follow the NL League as much maybe should know about? Anything jump out to you over in the National League right now?
I was just thinking during this game, I really miss Sonny Gray. He's with the St. Louis Cardinals now. He signed a 3-year, $75 million deal with them. That was a little too pricey for the Twins, and I'm not sure how much interest they have in signing a pitcher to a sizable deal into their mid-30s. That's just something that they're not super interested in doing, but he's having a fantastic start to his year. Twins desperately miss him. He was just an absolute dog for them the last 2 years, and best of luck to him. But I hope they can find an arm as live as Sonny Gray's was for the last.
He was such an anchor, man, and a great 1-2 punch, right? Yeah. You just felt so safe and secure with that 1-2 punch going into every big series. Pablo 1, Sonny Gray 2, for sure. Miss it. All right, Twins swept by the Yanks again, 8-5 the final tonight. Off to Pittsburgh tomorrow. Joe Ryan on the mound for game 1. First pitch, 5:40 p.m. Central Standard Time start. And if you're struggling with this whole Bally Comcast fiasco, by the way, tomorrow's game streaming on Apple Plus. So if you have that, check it out. Maybe one of the few Twins games you can actually watch this year, unfortunately. As always, huge shout out to everybody that joined us in the stream. Rest assured, we'll be back each and every game, same time, same place right here to break it all down. And quick reminder, got to go check out all Lou's work on X at SweetLouMN, plus all the work he's ripping up over at ZoneCoverageMN.com. And if it's not too much trouble, as always, go like the video, subscribe to the channel, help us get to 8,000 subscribers. That's always much, much appreciated. All right, that'll do it for us tonight. That's Sweet Lou Hennesey. I'm Luke Inman on Twitter at Luke_Spinman. We'll see you next time, but until then, signing out.